Our next session is the seven bowls and the fall of Babylon. We will cover chapters 16 to 18 of the book of Revelation. However, before we start the session, let us revisit our last session praising the Lamb, on chapters 14 and 15. In our last session, chapter 14 opens with the Lamb on Mount Zion with the 144,000, who had his name and his father's name in their foreheads. Isaiah and the prophets envisioned the restoration of Israel in Jerusalem, on Mount Zion. John sees the righteous remnant that is saved. God was talking about bringing the redeemed into the true Mount Zion in heaven, of which the earthly Jerusalem was only a copy. In contrast to the earthly Jerusalem, later described as a harlot, the saints in the heavenly Jerusalem are chaste, and have not defiled themselves with women. They are spotless. The image of the virgins on Mount Zion is a symbol of the church's purity. The image of the saints as pure may indicate their resistance to worshipping the beast. The proclamation of the angels is covered in Revelation chapter 14 verses 6 to 13. While the first angel seems to proclaim the good news, note that it also states that the hour of judgment has come. This is like Isaiah chapter 61 verses 1 and 2 that proclaims the good news but includes the statement, the day of vengeance of our God. Jerusalem is given the title Babylon, the name of one of the most wicked cities in the Old Testament. If Babylon destroyed the Jerusalem temple in 586 BC, Jerusalem is like Babylon because it destroyed the true temple, Jesus Christ. The angel is speaking like the prophets, announcing the coming judgment as though it had already happened. The false prophet threatened anyone who didn't worship the beast to be killed. Yet, the third angel warns that those who worship the beast will suffer a worse fate. Revelation chapter 14, starting from verses 14, describes the judgment at the end of time. In Matthew chapter 13, the angels will harvest the weeds and the wheat at the end of time. The weeds will be bundled and burned while the wheat will be stored in the master's barns. This time, the grapes will be harvested and thrown to the winepress. John describes the judgment of Jerusalem as the destruction of a winepress. The blood flowing from such judgment paints a picture of a massive slaughter. When the Romans conquered and destroyed Jerusalem, so many thousands of inhabitants were killed. Chapter 15 of the book of Revelation is a short chapter and highlights the seven angels with the seven last judgment. For our session, we will cover the book of Revelation chapters 16 to 18. Chapter 16 is all about what happens on earth when the bowls are poured out by the angels. How similar or different is this with the blowing of the seven trumpets? What do these plagues remind us of? When the sixth angel poured his bowl on the great river Euphrates, the river dries up. What is the significance of the water drying up? Chapter 17 of the book of Revelation is about the great harlot and the beast. This is very interesting as there are many possible interpretations. You have been asked to compare the great harlot with the woman of Revelation 12. Chapter 18 describes at last the fall of Babylon. What does Babylon represent? We will discuss the current session in our breakout rooms.